In a world that feels increasingly disconnected, meaningful success begins with purpose, trust, and human connection. Every week, we explore the stories behind people building businesses, organization, and lives that matter. We'll ask one simple question: what did you love enough to build? And together, we'll discover the ideas, relationships, and defining moments that shape meaningful success. Because fear gets compliance, and trust creates commitment. The Two River Exchange, where leaders, ideas, and the human connection meet. Welcome, everyone. I'm Owen Burns, and thank you for joining us for another leadership conversation. My goal in this series is simple: to bring together thoughtful leadership who are helping organizations stay resilient, connected, and deeply human in a world that's changing faster than ever. Today, I'm delighted to welcome my friend, Jon Donahue. Jon is a co-founder, principal consultant for leadership effectiveness, where he helps founder-led and private equity-backed companies build leadership teams that are clear, cohesive, and capable of making greater decisions without ever having the flow come back to the founders. Before the leadership effectiveness, Jon spent more than 3 decades leading businesses and advising executives. His work today centers around organizational health, leadership development, and helping executive teams build trust and alignment to scale successfully. So, Jon, thank you for joining us, and welcome.
Thanks. It's my pleasure. Thanks, Owen. I appreciate you having me on. You forgot to mention that you and I worked together for a couple of years.
That's right. We had the pleasure of working together, and it was great. And technology sales, it's really exciting. But we'll get into that a little bit.
Okay.
But before we dive into that, leadership, tell us a little bit what brought us to the work. You've had a great career, Jon, in finance, and obviously worked together as well. And but there's operating roles and leadership development. What drew you to helping leaders instead of just running businesses?
Well, Owen, I've always wanted to do my own thing and get out and serve people and help them be better with the services I provide. But when you're building your career and you've got 4 daughters and 4 graduations and 4 colleges and 4 grad schools and weddings and things like that, your flexibility to just do your own thing is it's not there. But I had the opportunity about 2 years ago when I was between opportunities and looking for something to do. Good friend of mine who is a leadership consultant and has been very successful introduced me to the principles of Patrick Lencioni and his books and his podcasts and his methodology and philosophy. And I just fell in love with it. And I just think it's such a great approach. It's simple, it's hard to do, but it's simple to understand and apply. You just have to be consistent. And the progress I've seen with leaders and their teams evolve because of the work we do is just tremendous. And so that's what really got me going in this area.
Love that. And I'd love to look more into that. We'll put some of those comments into the chat so people can find more information about that. But
Sure.
you've been, worked with founders and executive teams. What are you seeing in leaders today that really concerns you most?
Selfishness, basically out for themselves. It's all about I or me, not we or us. And when you're selfish, you don't build teams around you. You don't build people that want to work well for you. And you basically the teams wither under your leadership when it's all about you. And if you create a team that's all about we and us and what we're trying to accomplish, and it's built on real, true vulnerability-based trust, where people know how everyone presents themselves, where they succeed and flourish, where they have challenges and issues, and everyone's open and clear about it, it brings out tremendous performance acceleration. And it's just, I think anyone that's watching this podcast think about their own career. The difference between working for a servant leader that's enlightened, that really cares about his or her team being successful versus someone who's selfish, possibly narcissistic, or focused on their own leadership and growth. How well do you what is the difference in your performance and commitment between those two different people? All I know is when I work with a really enlightened leader that cares about the team and helps everyone perform at a higher level by creating an environment where everyone can succeed. Excuse me. I
Yeah.
flourish.
And it's too, we've seen that too often, right? When you have these narcissists and the people that are pushing down, and it's all about that ego, that fear, and yeah, and the opposite paint. I love how you painted that picture because it's very true.
Yeah.
On the other side, let's take the flip side of that. What's giving you hope these days? What are you seeing that's just like, wow, there's a great trend here.
Well, I think servant leadership is no longer a type of leadership. It's the way leaders should be. And I think some people misinterpret servant, meaning, well, what do you mean I'm serving people that work for me? No, they serve me. That's not what we're talking about. When you're a servant leader, you really think about how well your team is positioned. Are they trained well? Do they understand what their priorities are? Do they know what their job is and how they can succeed? Am I spending enough time coaching them and building them up and helping them perform at a higher level? And am I bringing the team together to collaborate really effectively to break down silos, to break down eliminate politics, and build up morale and enthusiasm? And you can see that in how long people want to stay and how eager they are to get things done. And servant leadership is the way to serve, a way to be a leader. And again, it's serving your team so they can perform at a higher level. And I like to think about it as, if you've got five people in your team, it's not 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 5. It's 1 × 2 × 3 × 4 × 5 is the multiplier effect of everyone working together and bringing out the best in them.
I love that. That's a great healthy leadership, and we were talking about that yesterday. It's fantastic. I think one thing's interesting about what you're doing, John, is you said this, and I don't want to surmise, but I think you say that companies don't stall because they run out of strategy, but they stall because decisions typically run back through the founders. If we're talking like those PE-backed firms, why does that happen, do you think?
People are afraid to make a mistake. And I think one, people are afraid to make a mistake, but leaders are afraid to let go. And when you start a company from scratch, or you buy a franchise or whatever it is you own and build, it's yours. Your net worth, your value, your personal dedication, that's in the company. And it's so hard for a founder and owner of a company to let go of decision making and really decide, what do I need to own and what do I need to empower my team to do? And you don't just say, you're empowered to make this decision. You create a process where you don't, you ask questions. You say, well, what do you think the problem is? Well, what do you think the solution is? Well, how do you think we should go about doing it? What resources do you need? And you as a leader, when you start asking these insightful questions and the people on your team realize, wow, I actually know what's going on. I know what the solution is. I can do this myself. They'll feel more confident to go forward and make a decision and start acting without waiting for the person that owns the company or the leader of the team to decide for them what needs to be done. And that's the way you start to get great results from everyone.
I love that, and I can see how that aligns people, it gives them their accountability as well. But let's talk about the founders and themselves, because a lot of folks might be reading this or watching this could be founders or CEOs of companies. But what has to change for somebody who is a founder to truly become a CEO? What's that like major shift or say the biggest shift that founders have to make?
Yeah, you build a strong leadership team around you, and empower them to make decisions, and charge them with this. These are the results that you have to get, collectively as a team, but also individually as a key member of the team,
Right.
and really rely on them to make decisions for you. If they're coming to you and asking, "Can I do this? Can I do that? I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to handle that." It's like, you know, you've got to coach them, teach them by example. Hey, you can make this decision. It's, you got to set frameworks
Right.
depending on the size of the company. If it's let's say it's $1 million company, $1 million revenue. Well, a material issue is probably $1,000. And
Mm.
if it costs less than $1,000, it doesn't, it's made with the best intention, the decision's made with the best intentions in mind, and it solves a customer need very
Mhm.
well. And it's a great example for the company. Let them make the decision. Now, maybe a $10 million company could be $10,000 decision, but you got to really evaluate it. But set the framework so people know where they have limitations, but know where they are empowered to make the decisions. And as long as they're aligned with the overriding values of the company, strategic focus, and delivering the best for the customer and making, profitable decisions, let them make those decisions and not bring it up to you. And and I'm, uh, you know, every founder has this challenge. It's not like one or another. It's just you've got to find a way to let go and empower others because you don't want to spend your time solving issues, invoice problems,
Yeah.
payables, downtime on equipment. It's just
Mm.
vendor management. These are all things that someone else should be doing. So you can focus on how do I grow this business? How do I
Right.
launch new tangential products and services that create
Mhm.
more value for my customers? Who should I be partnering with? And are there acquisitions out there that I should be taking a look at to really grow the business and deal with those things that take the company to the next level, not kind of tread water where it's currently existing?
I love that. And that kind of leads me to the concept, because I think imagine trust is a big part of that. And it's the center of
Mhm.
a lot of what you do. I know that's you talk a lot about that, but how do leaders intentionally build that trust inside of that executive team?
Well, um, what we do, we start out with trust exercises and how leaders uh, build trust. Well, they are the most vulnerable and the most open, and they recognize, well, all leaders, they've got some great strengths, and they should be proud of that, and and use those strengths to make the company more effective. They have to be self-aware that they just have gaps. If you're a sales
Right.
focused guy, you don't know
Yep.
operations that well. If you're a finance operating guy, you don't know sales well. It's okay. I mean, you don't have to know everything, but you have to know where you lead and build people around you that fill those gaps. So again, it starts out with awareness, self-awareness, knowing their strengths, but also knowing their challenges and frustrations that they need help with, being honest and candid with their team about those strengths, not using the weaknesses as an excuse. Oh, I can't do this. You do it because I'm not good at it.
Right.
No, I need your help. Let's do it together. Let's work on it. And they also have to be the most vulnerable in the beginning.
Mhm.
They have to be candid, how they grew up, where, interactions with their parents, interactions with their brothers and sisters, challenges they had in high school and college, and other adversity that they've gone through and how they overcame it. They're not ashamed of it. It's part of their story and they're open about it. And that allows other people to be more open about what they're good at and where they can play the best role in the company and where they've got development needs that they want to work on and ask for the assistance either from the leader of the team or colleagues within the team.
Being vulnerable and understanding those gaps, it sounds like it gives permission the other folks to have that permission to do the same.
Yeah.
So,
And believe
well,
me, uh, if a leader has gaps, the people
mm,
that work for him know it. And if they
that's
don't
right.
admit it and they don't work on it,
That's true.
it's not going to help.
They're going to know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's on that part, let's think about what in your, when you think about your philosophy on leadership, but what has changed over the past decade? And we've seen a lot of changes, but is there anything that's changed that you in your philosophy on leadership?
Well, oh, my philosophy on leadership,
Yeah.
everything. And I wish I knew what I know today
Yeah.
that accumulated through research and listening to tons of podcasts, reading and listening to tons of books, getting engaged with other leadership teams, overcoming my own weaknesses and challenges that I'm
Yeah.
still working on, but I'm getting better at those areas. Is it's all about the team. It's a leader. It's not about you. hero leadership is in a war, in a crisis. Yeah, a hero leadership is needed. You got to act quickly. You got to get things done. You got to, attack a crisis.
Mhm.
But running a business, running a team, growing a company, growing an organization, you, leader, are not going to get anything done unless you have, depending on the size of the company, anywhere between 5 and 15 people around you to help you get it done.
Right.
And if you're not working on those relationships and not building that team, you may be semi-successful, but you will not be as successful as your potential.
That's
That's
right.
that's a huge thing. And I have to tell you, I look back on when I was a young executive, especially GE, where I really wanted to,
Yes.
you know, I wanted to be the next CEO of at least a business
Yeah.
unit, if not the entire company. I
Right.
stepped on so many people and I was all about me, 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 me. And my ego was so huge. And I was just like, oh, I'm embarrassed to think about how I acted. And, and not always, but
Right.
in your all of your strengths used in excess are weaknesses, and
Right.
you make mistakes, you do stupid things, you're trying to protect yourself, you're trying to promote yourself, and it's all about you, and you just let that go.
Yeah.
That's my biggest. Let go of your insecurities, let go of yourself and your individual focus. Build a team around you, even if you're not a leader. Build a team around you, colleagues, people that support you, the secretaries, office people, anyone. Just build a coalition around you and be be the leader you want to be in the role you are today, not wait for you to be ordained a leader and then become one.
Love that. Love that. I know it's we're right there talking about. I think yesterday we were saying something about your grandfather believed in leadership is measured by what you build in other people, and
Service.
I've like a beautiful idea, and you can see how that's shaped your leadership. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift a little bit. We were talking about AI as well, a little bit the discussion, just because it's changing, so much in our world. And from your perspective, what's become even more important about leadership as technology just seems to be accelerating like crazy?
Well, listen, I'm Gen X. My first summer internship, I worked as an accountant in a former division of RCA, which got acquired by
Wow.
GE. Long time ago. I'm dating myself, but it was a
Right.
summer internship. I used 13 column notepads to track the costs of different projects. That's where I started my career. We had blue screens and green screens and all that stuff and word pro. It was just
Wow. Yeah.
you know
Remember that.
and then you go through desktop computers, a laptop, mainframes and the cloud and digitization and the internet, all of these things, everything it had was disruptive.
Yeah.
AI is going to be disruptive, but the what I don't believe is AI is going to destroy jobs. It will destroy certain roles that are no longer needed,
Mhm.
and eliminate that. But it will create more opportunities for other people in many other different areas.
Yeah.
So yes, companies that say we are firing a bunch of people because we're using AI to automate processes and eliminate work, they're full of it. They're not doing it. They're just using AI as a PR tool to get a higher stock price because uh, investment analysts are saying, "Oh, they're using AI. That's great. They're going to get a lot of productivity. Let's raise their stock
Right.
price by a multiple." But it's not happening.
Mhm.
And I always look at it as a sample size of one.
Yeah.
I've got partners I work with and people I work with and vendors and things like that, but I'm essentially a team of one. I'm a solopreneur. And my ability to investigate, research companies, identify problems, put together better insights for my clients, information that really will help them learn more and you know be helps me be a better coach by focusing on the most critical challenges that they're having and provide them with salient advice that they can take home and use and apply and think about on their own. All of those things I'm so much better at because I use AI tools.
Right.
And the time frame that I have to spend preparing for clients, either before or after engagement, has shrunk down significantly while the quality of the information has gone up because of AI.
Yeah.
So yes, there are jobs that are going to be automated, call center jobs, especially first and second level. But I think
Mhm.
what's also going to happen is people are going to start to expect that these kind of day-to-day tasks and information are readily available and have very little friction. But the major problems, the challenges that are like what we call now level 3 escalations and processes,
Mhm.
that's where the people are going to come in, and that's where it's going to be special, and that's where you're going to have high quality talent that's going to be paid very well, not $13 an hour resetting passwords on a phone call, but
Exactly. Yeah.
26, $36 an hour dealing with real strategic issues that customers have. So anyway, that's my view. I'm a
Yep.
I'm a simple person that's I don't see the end of the world coming because of AI, but I do know that a lot of people in unskilled jobs that can be automated will be dislocated and have to be retrained and do other work and find other things to do that is not going to be automated by AI.
Love that. I love it. And that brings us right into, that concept of what how do we stay human in the age of AI. But I love how you serve that up by looking through the past and saying, there's ways to continue to manage it just as we have in the past.
Yeah,
So
I
let's
mean,
go.
go
Yeah.
ahead. Look, let's keep going.
Yeah,
I
no,
could
that's
talk
great.
about this all day.
Well, we're running out of time here, but I do want to finish up with a few what we call our lightning round questions. These are questions we ask everybody, but I know you're building something. But what did you love enough to build? It could be a project, it could be a business, family,
Well,
career, whatever.
well,
But
let me start out with my family. I'll be married for 30 years next year, and I've
yeah,
got four wonderful daughters. And um, let
uh,
me just say, I was not very mature at the beginning of my marriage, but then I learned a lot. I learned a lot of humility and patience and love. And I've also learned you don't tell teenage girls what to do. You
mhm,
let them know that you're available if they want help and let them come to
right.
you. So, I think a lot of leadership lessons that I've learned is through my family. The second thing is going out on my own business now. If I had known 2 years ago how hard it was, how expensive it was, and
Mhm.
how much I really needed to learn that I didn't know that I thought I knew based on my 30 plus years experience working in the corporate world, I probably wouldn't have done it. But thank God I was ignorant and I just went in and now there's no going back.
That's
And
right.
I really feel the momentum and I love what I do every day.
Fantastic. That's a great, great answer. And congrats and almost congratulations on the next anniversary. So what's one habit every leader should practice?
Listening.
Mm.
You have two ears and one mouth. Use them in proportion. And I think so many leaders, your classic GE leader, when GE was the most admired company in the world, it's like, I need to know everything and I need to be in charge of everything and I need to tell everyone what they need to do. That is a leadership style, but the best leaders in GE listened first, asked good questions, um, helped instead of jumping to conclusions about what the teammate or the executive that reports to them is saying, you know, ask the questions and let them clarify what they're trying to do and don't jump to conclusions. And the more you do that, the more people feel heard, they feel valued, and they feel like they're making a contribution. And that's what you really need your team to feel that that's why they're there, that's why they're on your team, and that's why there's you want to continue to pay them well and give them bonuses and promote them as long as they continue on that track.
Love that. Love that. Fantastic. So there's just one final question, kind of on the heels of that. If someone asks you listening, if somebody listening today is a leader growing a company and want to become a better leader tomorrow than they are today, what's one piece of advice that you would leave them with?
I would, well, couple things. I mean, there's a lot of things to do. If you really want to be
Right.
better, ask your team. And maybe it's in confidence, one-on-one, but it's got to be an interesting environment. But also ask your peers, ask people that are around you, people that give you, ask your spouse. They'll tell you what's wrong
Yeah,
with you and what you need to
that's
do to
right.
be a
Yeah.
better leader. Um,
Right.
ask your teenage kids, anyone it is, and think about, there's plenty of assessments out there. Like Myers-Briggs, there's DISCs, there's Enneagram, there's Working Genius, there's Strengths Finder. Take all of those different tests and be listen to what you're good at, but know that whatever you're good at in excess is a weakness, and know what you're not
True.
that good at and what you need to work on. You don't have to be good at everything, but just
True.
recognize where, for me, discernment is always been an issue because I'm a real positive, outgoing kind of sales growth, business development kind of guy. And I'm always like, we'll fix that problem. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's get over that problem. But if I had just taken more time to listen to people that raised problems, raised issues, like my wife,
Yeah.
and spent time making sure that we've got uh, a way to mitigate those risks or address them as they arise, I'd be much more effective. Now, that's my that's my frustration. So I need to surround myself with people that get into the details, that look at the problems, raise red flags, tell me where the issues are going to be before we start getting moving forward. And I really embrace them. But you want me to, you got to finish initiative that you want to get done. I'll pull a bunch of people together. I'll rally them to get things going. I'll build a project plan. I'll get it executed. I'll won't stop until it's completely done. That's my strength. But
Yeah.
again, that strength in excess, I could be a real pain in the butt. I could be
Okay.
a micromanager if people aren't doing what I want them
Mhm.
to do in my strengths in excess or in areas of where I just present myself in a frustrating manner. So I use that as an example is you've got to figure out what your gifts are, what your strengths are, but you also have to embrace your challenges and where your weaknesses are and work on them. You don't have to be on a scale of 1 to 10, you don't have to be much better than 5 if you're a 2, but get towards that and understand it and then build people on your team that are eights, nines, tens in that weakness that you have that you can trust to help you in making the best decision to grow your business. I don't
Love
know if
that.
that's
That's good.
hopefully that is helpful, Owen.
I think it's great, really great wisdom, and thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of great comments, and thank you for being generous with your wisdom and information. But that said, I appreciate you. All this information is going to help leaders and build organizations where people and business can truly thrive. So, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And for our listeners, and if you enjoyed today's conversation, please like or subscribe in this episode. And someone who cares about building stronger teams or leader helping organizations, give us a shout. You can learn more about Jon Donahue and leadership effectiveness through his LinkedIn profile or the website. We'll put it in the chat below. And if today's conversation sparked an idea or challenged your thinking, we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm Owen Burns. Thanks for joining us. And remember, leadership isn't just about achieving results, it's about building people who achieve them together.
Great. Thanks, Owen.